you introduce yourself to the viewers?
Yes, so I am Benjamin H. Moore,
Mm-hmm.
a native of Atlanta, Georgia, which is where I
Yes.
am right now.
Yes, yes. So
There'll be another show.
how are you thinking about spending your summer? Do you have any ideas yet? What does it
You
look
know
like?
what? So right before everything went bananas up there, but I had booked a show. I had booked a ragtime in New York State for the summer. It was going to be June and July. I was so excited. It was going to be my
What theater were you
first
going to?
ragtime. It was Forestburg
Oh.
Playhouse in
Hmm.
Forestburg, New York, up in the Catskills. And so I was so excited. I wanted to do the show for a while. It was going to be my first time, but they emailed us. They ended up emailing us and telling us they had to cancel their summer season. So, you know, I mean, which is understandable. You know,
Hmm.
people have to be safe. They have to do what's best for them and what's best for the actors. My sister and brother-in-law and nephews got here. People who
Nice.
follow me on social media probably know and see that I'm super close to my family and to my nephews, especially
Yes. Yes.
because I post them a lot. So they're here, and I'm really, really excited. I couldn't be happier that they're home. So they're here for the whole summer. So
Now you talked
yeah,
about getting some new equipment. So talk to me about that. That's number one. And number two, how are you redefining yourself during this time of this pandemic?
oh Lord, yeah. So so I finally ordered um, my self-tape equipment or
Okay.
self-tape audition kit or whatever it's called. Of course, I've had friends who I've self-taped with or had, you know, I've gone to their places, apartments or whatever to self-tape and they have the setup. And so I was like, oh, you know, I need to get this. And so now I'm like, finally off the road. I came off the road in December. So I now have time, I had time and space
Right.
to get the stuff, to get the materials and to be able to use it, you know. So now I'm happy to have all this. Every time I set it up and I look at myself, I'm like, ooh, I look good. I look good in these lights. I look good in these lights, y'all.
And you
Yeah.
do look good in life. Yes, you do. So you have all the essential tools necessary. During this time, we have to stay abreast and we need to stay visible because
Right.
the cast and directors are still scouting both
They are.
film, right?
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
whoever is there, that's what they're looking at. Because a lot of actors, you know, which was surprising to me, are afraid of the technology. They do not
Oh
come
yeah. Oh yeah.
online.
Oh yeah.
So many.
Also just thought about for those of us, you know, those of us who are actors and performers, as we travel, we build up a fan base.
Yes.
You know, for some people it's a huge fan base. For some of us, it may be smaller and not as huge. It's like a celebrity, but people, and because of social media, people are able to follow us
Yes.
and see what we're doing, and so people appreciate that. So you know, so it's nice, you know, to be able to do that too for ourselves, of course,
Yes.
but also for somebody else. You know what I mean? So because you never know what people are going through, and the simplest thing like that could make somebody's day.
What is your biggest concern as we do move forward in this pandemic reality in theater?
You know, I'm trying to think of my biggest. Can I say two?
Yes, of course. Please let me know.
So
Let me
of
know.
course, and so I think two of my biggest concerns are, you know, from a selfish end. I don't know, both of them may be selfish end, but from a selfish end, like I hope there's work for me. You know what I mean? Like, of course, there's Broadway, which I'm praying to get to soon. But also, you know what I mean? I love to be able to do an equity tour. And so I'm just like, Lord, I hope all these tours don't start going on now so they can pay these actors less money and all this kind of stuff. Another one is just like safety. You know what I mean? Like how that's going to look. You know what I mean? Like safely being able to do what we do. And just what's going to happen to the theater world, you know, of course, nobody knows. And yes, we've seen hard times, you know, especially we Black folks.
Mhm.
So we know how to push through and how to make a way out of no way, like God. But that's kind of making me a little nervous, you know what I mean? Just wondering like how everything's going to look, how it's going to pan out, and when,
Right.
when it's going to, you know, when it's going to smooth out.
How do you
Yeah.
keep yourself encouraged during these uncertain times with so many questions?
Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, I'm a person of faith, and so I have to lean in, you know, especially in times like this. I really have to lean in. And this has also just been a time for me to see and learn things about myself anyway. And just, you know, and then being around people, you know, my family, my close group of friends, and artist community, you all, we have to really rally together. So that's been keeping me encouraged. And then also just seeing, still having the ability to audition,
Yes.
and the possibility of being able to perform, you know what I mean? Although who knows when it'll be, but still, you know what I mean? That's been keeping me encouraged. I know it's cliche and sounds cliche, but God, I really believe that God is in control, you know what I mean? And that doesn't mean that we won't have difficulties, because we've lived long enough to know that life is full of difficulties, a step at a time. As you take that step, then the pathway in front of you gets dusted off and you're like, oh, okay, I see what my footprint is for this next step. Right. And then so forth and so, yeah.
What is the biggest lesson that you have learned during this time of quarantine, pandemic, everything? If you can narrow it down to one.
I know.
I mean, if you feel you can give me two, but.
Okay, yeah. The biggest lesson, wow. I guess one of the first things that comes to mind is how easy it is to get lost for us as artists. It's easy to get lost in that and to lose yourself in that, like to be so consumed in that, to where if that's stripped away, you're like, what do I do now? Who am I? Right. Who am I? What do I do now? Like, what do I do with my time now that I can't? And I think a lot of us artists are struggling with that probably, and seeing like, wow, you know what I mean? Like what I do and my gifting, like, yes, it's a part of the essence of who I am, because that's something God, these gifts God gave us, and we work to cultivate and develop and hone these skills and gifts. But like who we are, that's not the totality of who we are.
Right.
And so I think finding things and maybe not even finding some new things, but revisiting and re-seeing and re-realizing things that are important to me and that bring me joy, that bring me peace, has been a big thing. You know what I mean? Because it's like, we can't do theater now. I mean, you can do Zoom theater. There's theaters that are doing Zoom stuff and all that kind of stuff. We've done virtual, we did virtual Seasons of Love and all this kind of stuff and things like that. But, there's only so much of that. And so I think just kind of realizing that who I am is connected with my talent, but it's also separate. You know what I mean?
Right. You're absolutely correct. I didn't realize how many artists, whether it's us or whether it's the A-listers, they all struggle with the same exact thing. So thank you for bringing that up. Well, what do you have to share with us today? Because we all need some beautiful music in our lives, and I love to hear when you sing. So what can you sing for us today?
So I'm going to sing. This song has really been just kind of on my heart and my spirit the last maybe week or so. But it's a song called My Help. So yeah, I'm going to sing that. I love it. Yeah. And of course, we all need some help in this, especially in this time. And especially, I just have to real quick, if we have time, what's happened with George Floyd and Breonna. I mean, all these people, what happened with Christian Cooper in Central Park and all of this stuff. I'm just like, Lord, I am tired.
Right.
This is tough. And I'm like, I can only imagine what our ancestors felt like. What they were, you know what I mean? So I'm just like, we really need God's help. Because in order to be able to, do what's necessary for change and to be able to endure this in the meantime, we need help. We need God's help. It's going to I believe it has to be supernatural, because I just don't think we can do it on our own. And so the good thing, I'm not trying to preach, but I'm a preacher's kid.
Preach away.
But the good thing is that God's help is there. You know what I mean? It's always there. And sometimes we have to search a little harder for it. It seems it may not come in the form that we wanted it to. It may not come as soon as we thought it should have or how we thought it should have, but it's there, And so I just pray for these families and our Black brothers and sisters and for our world, that we could really come together and stop being so divided. So, all right. Can you hear it fine?
Yes, I can.
Song says, I will lift up mine eyes to the hills, from which cometh my help. All my help cometh from the Lord which made heaven and earth. And he said, he will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He's the Lord that keepeth you and me. He will not slumber nor sleep. For the Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is my shade upon thy right hand. Upon thy right hand. No, the sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. He shall preserve my soul, even forevermore. My head, oh my head, oh my help, all of my help cometh from the Lord.
Yes, beautiful. Oh my
Thank you.
gosh, enriching
Thank you,
for
thank
my
you, thank you.
soul. Oh, so
Thank you.
true, so
Yeah,
true,
yes.
so true, so true. We need that help.
We
What
need it.
final
We need
words
it.
can you leave with us today?
You know, I think just lean into the things that, give you joy and peace and fulfillment, to the things, the people, and just think back. I think a lot of times when we go in hard times, it's easy for us to get consumed.
Yes.
Because we're human, and to feel like it's the worst thing, or to feel like, oh God, I just don't know if I can deal with this.
Right.
I don't know how many times I said that, a million times. But then for me, what I have to do is just think back to how much God has done and how much he's brought me through before. The last thing I'm like, oh, I thought I said I was going to die after that. And here I am still living for the next thing that I think I'm going to die after, And
Right.
so I think just thinking about how strong we are.
Yes.
And for the people of faith, how strong, God through us is. And so how, I think we have to remember all that we've endured and overcome before, because that fuels us to then endure what we're facing now.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. Beautifully said.
Yeah.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
Well, bravo!
Thank you.